you've got a pan here like that, and you've thrown lettuce on top like that. You're shit.
When it comes to the words hell and kitchen, the first person appearing in our brains is none other than the famous Gordon Ramsay. The guy destroys a person's will to live if not satisfied with the food. It's such a surprise how the famous chef turned into a monster within seconds of first impressions on the dish. Although there are times he was incredibly happy and delighted with food in front of him, most of the moments caught in camera might have gone terribly wrong. This has not only caused restaurant owners and subordinate chefs to hold a grudge against him, but even the whole world, seeing his naturally rude personality in the kitchen, may have another sense of impression of him. But whatever it is, he just can't control his originality towards the kitchen. Today in this video, you guys will get to see possibly the worst of the worst clips of Gordon Ramsay leaving a trail of destruction in the kitchens.
Right now, I'm fed up with your bullshit excuses.
Let's get on it. Number 10. Non-stick. This humorous incident took place in Season 2, first episode of Kitchen Nightmares 2005. Sarah Horowitz, a deli manager from Dallas working for Red Team, was cooking scallops for a whole restaurant of 100 impatient diners. In the heat of the moment, she cooked scallops without taking into consideration that they should be put in a non-stick pan. Gordon, who was already in his natural temper, wondered why the progress was taking so long until he saw the tragedy of seeing Sarah flipping the scallops too fast and it's sticking to the bottom of the pan. He completely lost it and screamed to her face, reminding that if you saute the scallops in non-stick pan, it won't stick. Ramsay nearly had a huge voice crack over the sticky mess. Number 9. Cement mix.
How old is the rice? It looks like it's left over from Christmas.
They cooked this yesterday.
Yesterday.
Ramsay does a lot of restaurant hunts that would specifically satisfy his taste in food and service. But when happens to visit a Mexican restaurant called Fiesta Sunrise, Gordon revealed the uncovered truth of the kitchen inventory. He pulled out trays filled with non-appetizing meat mess and even presented a big chunk of ground beef with a large layer of fat on top of it. That's just the beginning. What annoyed Ramsay the most was the gooey, sticky concoction of beans he called the cement mixture. The Mexican owner who was being yelled at by Ramsay couldn't get enough, as he also insulted him by saying, "I wouldn't trust you running a bar." The situation got even spicier when Ramsay took the bean mixture and showed it to the diners enjoying their meals. He also told them to stop eating as they were closing service. The horrified customers stopped eating right away. Number 8. Maggot Mess.
Maggots. Oh, infested with the maggots. Oh, God.
In another episode of Kitchen Nightmares, Ramsay visits the restaurant Secret Garden in Moore Park, California. In the beginning itself, Ramsay was disappointed at the poor service offered by the restaurant, as the door was locked and no one greeted him, along with old-fashioned decor on the tables. The way the waitress offered the menu and lack of flavors in the food really made Ramsay inspect the whole area. And that's where Gordon was in for a big surprise. In the inventory, he found sweet potatoes under attack from maggots, dirty racks with no signs of recent cleaning, and even freezers filled with mold growing on them. Ramsay then confronted Chef Michael for some truth, but instead of learning from his mistakes, Michael talked back saying, "Does everything need to be perfect?" Imagine Ramsay turning into a beast in broad daylight. But whatever it is, you don't want to eat French food coming out from some moldy, dirty rack, do you? Number 7. Valentine's Day Special.
Hannah and Mesa. I guess they couldn't afford the end. That's not a good start.
It was a lovely night of Valentine's Day where couples came to dine in the Hannah and Mansons. While the team was working with the food, Gordon couldn't help but notice some mistakes happening in the kitchen. Firstly, he was disappointed at the desserts display, because they were rock hard. Ramsay also discovered the rotten and spoiled spinach on the salads they had been serving to customers. As time passed, Ramsay finds a stale bread pudding just rotting at the side of the fridge, but Brian and Chef Chris is least bothered to make any devastating reactions. Finally, Ramsay lost it and decided to investigate the place himself. He pulled out a container where a cooked chicken was resting with a pile of raw chicken. Brian finally came onto his senses when he got called, "Oi, pantyhead, you listen to me, you're gonna kill someone!" And that's how things ended in that romantic night of Hannah and Manson's. Number 6. Scary Amy.
think that you can come in here and say these things? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous.
Amy and her husband only blabbers about the incompetent staff, restless online haters, and even believed that her restaurant is a victim of conspiracy theories. Nevertheless, Ramsay did have some real beef with the owners, but fortunately things actually got better in the second visit as the inventory was clean and he was given a delicious cake. But something must go wrong, and it finally did when Ramsay was served a cold food and raw pizza during lunch. He was also bothered by the fact that Amy's scary face made the customers not give any honest feedback, and her pretty confident attitude really annoyed him. After a heated discussion with Amy and her husband, Ramsay gave up and fled the place. Every person has a limit, and if went beyond, no one's gonna know what's happening next, especially if the person is Gordon Ramsay. Number 5. Pumpkin Trouble.
There's no pumpkin in it. Yeah. This is like ordering risotto with no rice.
Chefs, owners, and even some servers might have the guts to start a war with Gordon Ramsay, even after knowing his destructive powers. But diners approaching and messing with him? I wouldn't really suggest that. But this one brave customer who simply wanted some pumpkin on his risotto might have lacked education on who Gordon Ramsay really was. Well, the server did guarantee the dish to be served within time, but too late. The impatient diner rushed his way to Ramsay, who was cooking dishes, and demanded what he wanted. As expected, Ramsay barked back saying, "Move out of the way and the pumpkin will be diced and shoved up somewhere unexpected." Well, you guys know what I'm saying, right? Number 4, the call of lamb sauce.
Here's the lamb sauce!
Garrett from Blue Team, who used to work as a prison chef, finally got the pressure on him when working as a chef in Hell's Kitchen. Not only was he slow in the cooking process, his poor performance on the food didn't do him any good either. The Blue Team was constantly trembling apart, along with frustration and lack of punctuality in the group. On top of that, there came the call of lamb sauce by Chef Ramsay. We can also say that it was the call for the end of the world, as Ramsay only gets worse in patiently waiting for the lamb sauce. There are 2 things Chef Ramsay hates the most: incomplete food and late service. Garrett finally arrived with the lamb sauce, but obviously, instead of appraisal, Ramsay called him and the whole team donkeys. That's his second favorite word, after the F word, I assume. Number 3, Abby and Rico.
What do you think I'm doing? I'm trying.
You're being This wasn't like this.
Hold on
it
a
wasn't
minute.
like this. I don't run a kitchen like this.
Hold on a minute.
On another quest of culinary thrill, Ramsay visits Down City, a restaurant owned by 2 besties, Abby and Rico. Abby describes her restaurant as a marvelous place with good customer service and rates the food a big 10 out of 10. Yeah, maybe in your dreams, but it's time to change that as Gordon Ramsay's here to save your restaurant. He tastes the food, and of course it disappoints, and even got triggered when he heard the place lacked a head chef, and Abby, with no culinary experience, writes the menu. What a disaster! As expected, he looks over every corner of the kitchen, but the kitchen is a mess first sight itself. Then he heads down to the chiller, pulls out a bag of chicken carcasses, some abnormal object that looks like cheese, and I don't even know what all the other unrecognizable things were held captive there. Abby got into a verbal fight with Gordon, which is probably the worst mistake she did, and I don't have to explain the rest of it. Not really pleasant for the ears. Number 2, Malicious Melinda.
We've thrown omelets away.
I burned them, sir.
You burned an omelet?
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. Give me an omelet!
Melinda from the Red Team during Hell's Kitchen 2005 was given a task of making creamy, delicious capellini for the hungry customers. Capellini is basically a thinner version of spaghetti, but her arrogance and non-determining attitude towards the food did her really bad. In fact, Chef Gordon was so unsatisfied with her food that he made her recook it 9 times. And the best thing she could do with the food, attempt after attempt, was dump it in the waste bin. Yep, she wasted quite a lot of amount of food. And I guess was ready to meet her death, as the Grim Reaper Ramsay has bad news for her. Ramsay, who eventually found out about the missing capellinis, took a look inside the waste bin, and what they all witnessed was the face of a serial killer. He shouted at her for wasting the huge pile, as she could have cooked it for some more minutes and perfectly coated the capellini and would have been served to the diners. Number 1, Duckhead.
Special. Thanks to Dick Face there. Hurry up, Giovanni.
Yeah, but I'm not this face, chef.
And just like all incompetent chefs who ended as a victim of Gordon Ramsay's bloody insults, Giovanni, an unlucky chef from Blue Team of Hell's Kitchen 2005, got himself trapped in the humiliation of Gordon Ramsay's wonderful titles of verbal abuse. Unlike other chefs who would happily agree being a donkey or a pig, Giovanni had the guts to disagree to that. He was given the nickname Dickhead and just couldn't help but shout back, "I'm not one!" There is one thing Ramsay hates much more than anything, and that's being offended by the chefs working under him. Both of them raged towards each other, literally causing a battle of cuss words. Soon enough, they even got the attention of diners. Not really a delightful scene to expect from a luxury restaurant, huh? We can see the clip itself of the other chefs were so scared that Chef Ramsay could have got accused of murder. Thankfully, nothing physical happened, and Giovanni leaves the kitchen embarrassed. Hope we got all of them right. If we did miss out on some important clips, feel free to comment down below. Maybe we can come up with Ramsay Outburst Part 2. But for that, you guys need to help us reach 500 subscribers, and we will come back with another amazing content. Catch you guys soon.